I want our customers to think, we have an event, 29 will handle it. I need to just tell them what it is I'm trying to achieve, where it is, when it is, and just let us run with it and let us make the decisions that we know are right for you.
I think that's probably where we feel we have the difference. Is like everyone can put on events, but it is just how we make people feel. And we've really focused on that. So that goes back to just our general overview of our business as being customer experience. Katelin, welcome to 29er Show Unscripted. Today we're going to focus on talking about events, your specialised subject.
Yep.
I've got a bunch of questions for you, and I'd just like to know how you answer them about how you're specialising in the event side of the business. So when you're at an event, what's the exact moment at that event that you know it's landing?
It's a hard one because for me, there isn't anything in particular for every single event. I think, right, that's us. There's just, every event's really different, but we're always building the experience, we're building content. So there's always a moment maybe right at the beginning where I feel like I hold my breath, and then it gets to a point where I go, and we're good. And usually that's like, maybe we've done opening videos, or the first person standing up to speak and it's our content behind them, or, people start engaging in the audience. But it's hard to pinpoint exactly what it is. But I just know that I get to a point where I can feel like, right, we can breathe. Everything's moving fine. We're doing good here. But I feel like probably right up to that point, I don't realise that I'm just like, until it happens.
I see like the pressure, and I've obviously be at a lot of events with, and you see that pressure build up, and it's generally before, and then there's just the smallest of moments. It can be someone will say something to you in the corridor or go, this is great, or you just feel like the energy.
Yeah,
I think you've said that before, like just the energy from the people, and you go, we've achieved it, because people seem to or are enjoying it, because you hear that the crackle of people talking and they're interested.
I think it's the noise level, because obviously we do so many different types of events, but one in particular, last year, it was the noise level when everyone came in the room. I was like, oh my gosh, it was so loud you couldn't even hear yourself think, and I was like, everyone's having a great time. It's always that thing of, if you're having a party and you worry, is people going to come, are people going to talk, is people going to dance? So not obviously dancing, but it's just that energy from what people are giving you back, and whether that's seeing something on a big screen or actually just arriving feeling excited, you just know that this is going
and
well.
That's always been your thing. Like every birthday over the years, we've had birthday parties, we've always celebrated birthdays. So it's probably I'm just using that as a link, because probably like as we do as a family, like celebrate every birthday, every moment. So through your years, we've always celebrated your birthday, obviously in particular, but it's always been your fear, like, what if no one turns up? So it's probably then, if you think about fast forward now in your adult life and running events, you're doing that now every week, every month. You're like having these birthday parties almost for customers.
And you're trying to make it a nice experience for everyone. And then you're thinking of every single person's perspective when they come in. What are they going to think? Are they going to enjoy? Are they going to have fun? And it's like that whole birthday party thing. And we're not talking of your birthday party, there's like 20 people coming. We're talking 200. We're talking thousands of people. So, I mean, the chances of all of them not turning up is very slim, but you just want it to go so well that I think, like you said, it's the lead up, and I think you feel okay until we get a week out, a couple of days out. The night before, game over for me. I just can't sleep because I'm just thinking about it over and over and over again. So
I mean, I think events are, touching on like what pulled you into this side of the business, but I think we've just kind of answered that a little bit, as probably looking back as we do, you look back and you see, where's the threads, where's the kind of threads of how I get into events, and probably birthdays is ran through our family. And I think that's maybe where it's came from, that it's drawn you into that side, because it is a bit of chaos. It's just getting everything right. And then it's just that little moment that you probably take to yourself to go, I've done it.
Yeah. And I think like I was known for having the best birthdays ever. So it was always trying to do it better and better and better. And that's what we do with the events for our customers. We do typically the same kind of events every year for them. So it's always about how do we make it better the next year. But I think also looking back, I studied television and film production, and in the TV side of it, I did genuinely really love that. And it was in an environment where, there was like the gallery upstairs, there was the TV studio downstairs, it was the prep, it was the chaos until the moment that first person started to speak. And it was that adrenaline of this can't go wrong. And I think that's also where I got that buzz, the feeling of there's no going back here. Like we just have to keep moving forward.
And I think just that feeling of it's live, it's happening. You can't go back and go, can we do that again?
Yeah.
So it's probably that adrenaline.
Yeah.
And as you say, the combination of craft and chaos, and then build that in with adrenaline. So it just has that rush, that build up to that moment where you say maybe the first person stands on stage, or when all the people come in and you hear them talking and taking photographs and enjoying themselves, you get such a satisfaction from.
It's such a high, like all the way through it, you're just running on adrenaline. But then I always have like the biggest crash after it. I just want to just switch off. Like, because I feel like in the lead up to events, we're running so many simultaneously. There's so many questions. There's so many things that could go wrong. You're overthinking every situation times 10 at some points. So come to the end of it, you're like, I don't want to think about this anymore. Like, you just want to stop.
What's the question you always ask yourself at events?
What's the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah.
Like, any time we're doing it. And it was something in a TV show, This Is Us.
Yeah.
And they always like say that to each other when they're stressed, whatever. They go, right, what's the worst thing that could happen here? And then they say it out loud and they go, well, that's not going to happen.
But you have to actually think, what's the worst
You
thing?
actually have to put it out there. So we always joke, because we did an event recently and it was in a boat under the Eiffel Tower. And there's probably loads of things that could have went wrong, but everyone was like, what's the worst thing that could happen? I was like, the boat sinks. That is the worst thing that could possibly. Everything else.
But there was a moment, if you
yeah.
think back, when we were all, I think the first person who took to the stage, and we were all standing on this boat on the river saying...
Someone was speaking at the same time. But it was funny because everyone was facing forward to the speaker. But me and Lynn were working like with the AV team. So we were side on. So we could see the water. No one else could really see. And we just seen this massive boat go by. And the whole thing just moved from side to side. And me and Lynn were just looking at each other. And we're like, right, it's fine. We're anchored to the wall.
I think
here.
at that point you're like, did we both feel that? Or was it just me? Was it just the adrenaline?
It's when you get off later, you're like, yeah, we felt that. But no, obviously, like, that is my job, that is my team's job, to always think about what could go wrong, and you're always trying to predict that so that you can stop that. And silly little things, from sound to audio, or people not turning up. But we always say, when you put the worst thing out there, everything else seems...
And there's always going to be things, but it's how you react to it, it's how you deal with it. So,
and it's how you deal with it before the customer knows.
Yeah.
They never know.
They never know. So what does our events calendar kind of actually demand from our team? Like, you talked about your team, and what demands is put on that kind of team when you're running so many events?
Yeah, I think it's multitasking at its finest. There is so many things going on, and every event is an event, but every event is different. Yeah. So they all demand something different. Some are more light touch, some are more project management led, some are actually then working out, well, what's physically going to be on the tables when people eat. But then we'll have events where we're just looking after all the content. So, it's hard internally when, you're running so many simultaneously, because every event, there's no structure to follow. We really have to approach it differently every time. So we're constantly then, like, every time you look at an event, you're like, right, let's focus on that and then move to the next one. And you have to change your mindset every single time. I suppose
you have to treat everyone as if it's the first one and give it that respect, and never get complacent at events. Always think, like, this is our first ever event internally. So you're looking after all the little things and just never take it for granted.
I think the difference really is, obviously I work with our team on content projects, realities projects, marketing projects. And, all of that, predominantly like 99% of that, we control in-house. So all the creative we do, project management, script, etc. When it comes to events, you have to work with outside third parties. You have a booth builder, or there might be a catering team. Depending on the venue, you might have to work with certain people that they use. That's when it becomes really difficult, because you're then having to predict that team. You're having to predict, are they going to turn up? Are they into detail the way we're into detail? So it becomes harder, because every time we do an event, you're working with a different team of people. Obviously, our crew stay the same in our team, but surrounding us, you're really depending on that. And events that we've got coming up, that's what we're constantly checking in with, is the third parties that make this happen.
And
with
just
us.
Making sure they're hitting the standard that we expect as well. So we obviously promise to our customer as well that we create an end-to-end like event delivery. But what's the part that clients don't realise until it's happening. Like, what's that? Like, things like, 6 months earlier, you're having those conversations, so you're touching on it, like, when you're at the event, but the build up to that, everyone obviously that come to the event turn up that day, but it's the work before it. So I think that's more like, what do the clients not see and feel?
Yeah, I think that's actually always the goal. Like, I want things to just happen on the day that the client probably doesn't notice, but actually they go away from it and go, yeah, like small little details that just make their experience better, which we need to think about months in advance, like weeks in advance. It's small things that just make them think, I didn't even think of that. Yeah. And even, we've got a lot of speakers that work at our events. So, they are focused on what they're doing, what they're going to say, but just giving them small things of like, here's some cue cards the night before. Do you want to go and write them away? Like little tiny things that, all aren't massive, but it's just how you make that person feel. And our goal is that we want our customers to just walk in to an event and not have to think of anything. So, but to do that, we need to think of every little detail. So
you're always trying to think of the questions that you think no one else has asked. And as you say, it's the small details, the background details that people don't maybe think is happening, but it's afterwards that maybe look back and go, that was special.
And I think because we are running so many events simultaneously here in the studio, a lot of our events take place like across the world. So our customers maybe won't come here like in the lead up to an event. And that's why we capture bits of behind the scenes. Because right now we're preparing for 3 events like just about to arrive. And back in our studio, there's boxes everywhere and there's things arriving every day. And it's just looking at all that, you're like, if our client could see all these boxes, and we're thinking, right, how do we get them sent to this place and that place? And but it's the chaos that just builds the anticipation and the excitement towards it.
And I think we touched on the word adrenaline, but it's like the work that we do, I say behind the scenes, the late calls, because a lot of our clients are obviously in the US. So I think your husband actually said, like,
I wasn't replying to him the other day, and he texted me. This was at like 11 o'clock in the morning, and he texted me going, why are you not replying? Your clients don't wake up till 1. I was like, I know they don't wake up till 1, but I'm using this moment to just get ahead. They don't wake up till
1 because it's US based, and I think that's
East Coast time.
That's the commitment we obviously have for our customers. It's location's not the issue, and whether it's late night calls or early morning starts as well. So it's part of that whole events thing. You're always on, I think.
Yeah. And even like a lot of the events we're working with, you're working with a global team, so all over the world. But then it is trying to take those time zones into consideration. And an event that we do, we typically will have a call every single week with that team. So then all of a sudden your week's full of like just flipping in your mind every time you go on a call. It's the next one. It's a different team. It's different dynamics in that team as well. But then you're working with America, Canada, Europe, the UK. So trying to fit all those people into those types, you do have to just jump on it, because we also are like, we can't lose time here. We need to just take the opportunity to chat with our customer to keep things moving, because although typically events for us, you book a year in advance, 6 months in advance, 4 months in advance, that disappears so quickly. So we have to take the opportunity every week to just keep it pushing forward.
And how important, to our customers, we've talked about this like privately, but how important do you think events are now for businesses? Because obviously we live in a world that you can communicate in so many ways with AI and everything else, but also video conferencing. But how important do you think it is, or is it for a customer to still prioritise events, as you said, whether it's small scale internal or whether it's external to large audiences? How important do you think it's going to be now?
Like, as we move into this new era of, like, obviously not new, but it's moving so fast, AI, everyone's doing everything online, digital. We do communicate on Teams with even just people that you're round the corner from. It's going to be so critical, because one, for trade shows, exhibitions, congress, that's that company's opportunity to show up as the biggest, as the best, and really just go for it and dominate a space in the industry. But then flipping that to the more VIP events, let's say, where it's like 100 guests, 200, maybe to about 500, it's your chance to really give back to your customers and show up for them. And it flips to what we say for our customers. Like, we go to America, we do innovation sessions, we continually try and show up for our customers no matter where they are in the world. And that's what our customers are doing, they have to do that. But then there's 3 types. It's like your big event, which is like your congress, your exhibition, trade show. Then you've got your VIP, and then you've got your internal. Now, the companies we're working with are thousands of employees, and a lot of them do internal like events, because then that's the only time their team can come together to 1, connect, culture, and then 3 as well, capture content, because it'd be too expensive to go anywhere else. And that's why initially, you know, we sometimes get brought in at the start, because they're like, we've got this opportunity where everyone's together, let's create content. And then we end up going, well, have you done this? Have you booked this event? Have you done? And then we end up getting wrapped into the full service.
I suppose we've got the benefit of both worlds, because we still communicate, as you say, every day with our customer, every week. There's a scheduled call on Teams, so you're still building the relationship, but they then can trust it in the background when they turn up on that day. And it might be, for some customers, it's the first time we've actually met them in real life, but they've got the confidence to turn up on that day at the event, knowing it's going to be 100%.
Yeah. And they don't need to, I don't want our customer to ever be worried, nervous. You know, that's our job. That's our job to think of everything and make that perfect. I want our customers, no matter what type of event it is, you know, if it's just a big booth or if it's a private event, I just want them to be focused on, right, how are we going to turn this into sales? How are we going to do the speech? You know, focus on your part. Everything else should work. And all we do, if it's like a VIP event for our customers, we'll say, come down the night before, just so that you're familiar with the environment and you know that it's all done. But other than that, like, I don't want our customers to feel that. And we've got an event coming up recently, and I said to our customers, like, are you excited? Are you nervous? And I don't want them to feel, I want them to feel nervous, you know, for doing their own speech or but not nervous about the event. She's like, no, I'm so excited. And I'm like, right, well, we've nailed it. You know, if you're not nervous.
You hear that kind of thing come from the customer, how excited they are. That gives you that energy
to see it come into life. Yeah.
You talked about how events for the customer, it's about then, you know, what sales, like they can focus on how they present themselves to their customers and potential sales from it. So ROI is important to us as well. So, you know, at events, it's not just put on a beautiful, glamorous event. It's about content that extends. So the event obviously lasts a day, 2 days, let's say. And then after that, generally, for other people, that's it over and they go home. But for us, we want to create an event that extends beyond that, even for the whole year. So how do we do that?
Yeah, and it's something that we see happen time and time again. Customers will go and spend, now we're talking hundreds of thousands of pounds at big exhibitions, etc. And even down to your VIP events, just because it's not got thousands and thousands of people, it still can be expensive. And we always ask that question, what did you get out of it? And if you can't measure, did we get sales? Did we get internal buy-in or anything, then how are you justifying that amount of spend? So we always ask those questions right at the beginning. What's the purpose of this? Is it for sales? Is it for just awareness to be the biggest in the room? And that sometimes is the case where you just want to be there. But for us, it's working with our customers to say, we need to understand that, because at the end of the day, we want their next event. So I want to be able at the end to say, right, we set out to achieve this. This is what we achieved. Here was the byproduct of that. But there needs to be something. And often it can just be, we dominated the social space during that congress, during that exhibition, or it could be that was the biggest sales generator of the year. So it's trying to always understand, because I just don't, it is a lot of money and they need to be able to justify what they got back from that with a goal in mind.
But we also, like a lot of events we film for the customers, and we've talked about, like a day of filming becomes a quarter of storytelling, because it's then measured in months, not minutes. So like that event can be, as I say, a full day, but the content they get back from that can last for the whole year, which can continually generate sales for them. So we're very focused on, you know, if you don't film it, it doesn't happen. Like one of those phrases we've used. So how does that fit into then the event? So the event being put on all the kind of logistics of it, but on the day, if you don't film it, it didn't happen. So, but
and it's trying to think of, like you said, you know, we're looking at like crew and catering, everything where it's booked, all the way then through to content, pre, during and post. And that's the 3 bits that we always pull on. So it's like pre, how are we going to raise awareness and get people to come? Secondly, it's then during, what content can we capture while we're there to maximise for the whole year? Now, if you've got your key leadership team coming, if you've got your key customers coming, if you've got employees coming, can we use the opportunity of everybody in that room to capture content? Now, it might not be specifically to the event. We've done events where the whole event was going on about a sales conference, but we were using that to actually capture the employees who came for recruitment for the next year, you know, for internal. So it's always asking those questions. So your event, like ROI and your event goal, might not actually be about what's happening in the event. You might just take the opportunity to capture who's there. But then the biggest mistake people make is capturing all of that and then not actually pushing it out, or waiting and sitting on it. And it then, you know, they've created this video of the event, they've created content, they've created interviews, and it just sits there and it goes nowhere, or it goes out 4 months later. Then the momentum's gone. Now, that's hard to balance because the companies we work with are large and they have to go through compliance. They have to go through like legal teams before anything goes out. So there's a fine line of, you know, how quickly we can get it out. But what we always say is we led it that within 24, 48 hours. It then enables us to get that up to your systems, to get that approved and get that out as quick as we possibly can, because it just keeps the conversation alive. But then it's anything we capture, we need to edit it quickly. And we recently done an event where, you know, there was a lot of amazing content and a lot of amazing speeches, but for lots of reasons, they weren't allowed a lot of people in the room. So we captured everything that was said on stage. It was then edited, put onto a training tool, and now people who weren't even at the event are then getting to consume it, which then we're getting data for to show how many people enjoyed it outside of the event, which then proves that next year we need a bigger event. So, it's trying to just always understand, why are we doing this? And then working back from like pre, during, post, what content can we capture? What ROI can we put in place? And even if it's just capturing photos of the event, you need to capture something. But that's sometimes hard because customers have done these events for so long. Bringing in another element to it that they've never done before can feel scary and feel new. But once they've done it once, they can't imagine doing their events without it.
It creates the momentum to create the next event, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then even look at areas and how we can improve. But I think also you touched on, like, all their customers are there. If you think of our customer, they bring all their customers to an event. It's the one place probably that whole year they're going to have so much people in the one room that it's not just about the event you touched on. It's about engaging with your customers. So we can create customer stories for them. We can find out lots of information at that event that they can use to get better. Yeah,
we have an event that we do, and last year we actually delivered 1,000 pieces of content on the ground. Now, that wasn't actually like 24 hours later, 48 hours later. That was on the ground while we were there. The event was 3 days, and we did exactly that. We set out with a goal that you have your customers there, your partners there, your team there. What can we capture in this moment? And across photography, filming, live editing, live social posts, we finished those 3 days with 1,000 pieces of content in our customers' inbox that was getting drip fed all the way through those 3 days that then went out. And it meant then that they were leaving with customer stories, which was their customers saying how their world was powered by them. We then had the partners talking about how their business is a success because of them. And then you had employees as well. So they were then able to dominate that social space for those 3 days to say, look, we've just had that event. Look who was here. But then actually that becomes their biggest sales generator of the year, because the content that they have, then they use afterwards to reach back out to the customer, to engage with the customer and use those results to get more customers.
I suppose it ties into our whole business like ecosystem. Obviously this is focused on events, but where it's connected to then is our marketing service, our content service, and also we have the reality service as well. But if you think about events and how we connect it and thread it through our business, so as you're saying, we create all that content using our content service, and then we market that using our marketing service. So the event just doesn't become one hit, as you just talked about. It becomes a thread of our different services, and I think that's really important.
And I think it's typically, I would say, 90% of the time it's content that we have that first engagement with all our customers. They'll come to us with something like, can you do a slide deck And then we'll go, well, where's that going? And they'll say, it's playing at an event. And we'll say, well, do you need help? And then it spirals that way. Or we need you to come and film an event. Well, who's helping? And it might not be for that specific one, but they have such a great experience that then when they go to do their next event, that they reach back out. But all of our customers, if you've got an event, you need content, you need marketing, and then for certain ones, if you're trying to create an experience, realities comes in. So actually then any event that we do will hit 9 times out of 10, 3 of our core services at any given point. But then some will be more heavy on the event side. So they'll be more heavy on just the planning of it, the production of it, getting it ready. Some will be more heavy on content. And some will be more heavy on marketing. So like I was saying earlier, every event is just so different that it's just a big, massive jigsaw that you're just, every time you sit down with one, you're like, right, well, what pieces are we pulling in here? And you're having to plan it from the very beginning.
Yeah, and I suppose they're obviously all different, but as you're experienced, then you learn the patterns of what you're looking for, what to look out for. And then every experience you have, you learn something new and you plug that back into the pattern for the next time. So you're getting better and better at doing it because you're putting on so many events.
And I think because, you know, rarely will we do an event that's just like a one-off. You know, we do an event with a customer and it's so good that they'll be like, can you do our next one, or can you do our next Congress? So then you're learning how that customer likes things to happen as well. Yeah. So you'll see that they, you know, they like this kind of social, they like that, they like how we communicate. So, you know, when we then get to the next event, we're pulling on our experience from, right, this is how we communicate with them. This is what they liked afterwards. This is what they liked there. There's a lot of elements that is out with our control and we're having to learn every time. But that's why we always say to our customers, it's like, just trust us. And we'll ask so many questions in that very first event. We're like, did you like that? What did you not like? And that's, I always say that to them, is if we present like an idea for, you know, all the vinyls that's going up, or we present an idea of like how the event's going to go, and they say, oh, we're not quite sure. I'm like, tell me what you don't like, because then the next time we do this, we won't propose that. So they're always new, but it's just about learning and taking our experience into the next one and into the next one. And although they're all different industries and types, there's certain things that happen that you go, oh, that's a red flag. Like that's going to
so you're spotting the patterns, I said. So, you know, we talk about 10x a lot in our business and how we are in growth in our business across all our services. So if you want to 10x events in the next 12 months, what does that look like? What does it, you know, what do you need to actually do? And obviously a lot of our work is referrals and things, but so how do you 10x events in the next 12 months?
I think it's never take it like, you know, just turning up at an event isn't enough anymore. Like, people are demanding more. If someone, you know, it sounds funny, but we all live in this world where people work at home, they work on a screen. So for someone to actually show up for you, whether that's at an event and purposely come to your booth, whether that's come to your VIP event, or a staff member to come, they're going out their way to show up for you. So it's, you need to show up for them. So it's all the little things that you might not think matters, but we all engage differently. Things are important to everyone differently. Some people won't care, is there a goodie bag? Some people won't care, you know, do we get lunch? But everybody all takes something else away, and you don't know what it is. Like, we always say that, like a wedding, you know, people will always moan about the food. No matter what you put on, people will always moan. So we always say that about events. Like, someone will always complain about something, but there'll be something there that they'll go away with and go, that was really nice. Yeah. Do you know, they thought of that, they thought of me, and they made me feel important. I
suppose it's just at the end of the day of an event, it's about how you make someone feel.
Yeah.
And that's across all our business services. Like, how do we make the customer feel?
Yeah.
We live in the technology world, but then how do you make someone feel?
Yeah.
And that's especially important at events.
Yeah. And it's sometimes they'll feel something, but they won't realise why they feel it. And it's just because they've been made to feel special. And, you know, it's all the little fine details that sometimes you can think, oh, we don't need that, or why are we doing this? But you don't realise what people are picking up on. And they do leave the event going, that was amazing. I was so full of energy. But that was because the people were all chatting. It was bright, it was airy, there was things on the table for them to engage with when no one was talking. You know, it's always trying to think of it from our customers' perspective, like what they feel when they walk in, but we're always thinking of it as like, but what are their customers going to feel?
I suppose we've always talked, like, if you go to a restaurant, it could be the best restaurant, best food, but if you just don't get that service, or the waiter's not that friendly, or they don't help you a little bit, you then don't go back.
But then if they do something, like if it goes wrong, but they go out their way to make you feel like, I'm really sorry, that shouldn't have happened. Let us do this, let us do that. You'll go back again, then something will go wrong and you'll go, why are we back here? Like you forget. Yeah. But it's how you make people feel, and things cannot be going right. But it just, you know, we need to show up for our customers, and our customers need to show up for their customers. And that's how, one, you'll get more sales, your customers will trust you more, and they'll connect with you better because they can see the effort that you've went to. If they turn up for your event, you've not made an effort, you know, it's just someone standing up on a stage, there's nothing going on, there's nothing around, there's no way for them to network and engage, they're not going to come back to the next one.
I think that's probably where we feel we have the difference. Is like, everyone can put on events, but it is just how we make people feel. And we've really focused on that. So that goes back to just our general overview of our business as being customer experience. You know, whether it's someone coming in here to our office, to the Pirate Bar, it's just about how we make them feel, how we put on the music they like. We find out all the smallest of details. So it's the sights, the sounds, the smells, the smallest of things that you say that can make the biggest impact when you go to an event. Yeah.
And I think for me, it's always also about, like, in the lead up to it, like I said, we have like meetings every week with these customers. So the whole team, like the event team that's making it happen, and there'll be things that someone will say, can you do this or can you send that? And I'm like, we'll do that. Like, we'll take that, because I want our customers to, in that event planning experience, not feel stressed. Like, some people, it always baffles me when people, you know, get stressed, like planning a wedding or planning a birthday party, because I'm like, it doesn't stress. I was called Chillzilla. Like, I didn't, and it's so strange because I get so stressed with their events and work, but I didn't get stressed at my own wedding. But like, that just comes naturally to me. If someone said, tonight we're having an event in here, like, right, well, this needs to happen, and move on. But I always worry that our customers feel pressure, they feel stressed, that it's not a nice experience for them. So we go out our way to make sure the minute they tell us there's an event, there's a date, we're like, what can we take off you that means you can get on with your job, and we just need to touch base once a week. I
suppose then when people commission us, or customers commission us for events, it's then the customer experience kicks in day one.
Yeah. It's not just at the event, it's all the way up to it. And it's checking in with them at certain points, just privately, to say, like, how are you feeling? Are you excited? Like, you know, because I want them to feel like we're an extension to their team, that if something's going wrong over there, tell us. So
we're not just at events. I probably think maybe a lot of event organisers maybe just look to tick as many boxes as they can. We don't have the tick box system. No. It's like, as you just said, it's having that personal call, having that just touch point, random touch point, sending them something, you know, just to make them feel like we've got this.
And you feel it, you know, like as you're leading up to it, you know, we have events where there is a lot of pressure, there is a lot of money riding on that event, and you feel like you're on calls and people can get like uptight, you know, they're anxious, and you start to, as we get closer, we say that, you know, we're getting to that point where people are going to start feeling it. So we offer, you know, is there anything else that we can take off? Even if it's just sending all the emails, or, you know, let us take something off you that just eases that pressure. Because like I said, it's not just the moment they walk into the event. It's in that run up all the way to it. We want them to feel as calm as possible, because that's why it goes well.
But it goes back to just relationships. Yeah. It's not the event, but it's the relationship we build around that. Yeah. And that then leads to more work for us as well. Yeah. So if someone catches up with you, this is our last question. Okay. If someone catches up with you in 2 years' time, what do you think, what do you want them to say about 29 Studios and the events team? So just give yourself a little 2-year message and go, what would they be talking about you and the events team in 2 years' time?
I think I just would want them to say that we take that pressure off them for events. Like, I want our customers to think, we have an event, 29 will handle it. I need to just tell them what it is I'm trying to achieve, where it is, when it is, and just let us run with it and let us make the decisions that we know are right for you. And that's our goal, is that the customers that we're working with, we know inside and out. We know all their systems. Even when new people start these companies, they come to us and they're like, can you give us a bit of a rundown on how this all works in terms of creative? I want our customers to be able to think, you know, I don't need to worry about the small details. I know that I can just turn up. So having the trust and confidence in us to just go for it and not have to second guess anything.
I suppose then you want all our customers to think when they've got an event, the first people they're going to call is 29 Studios.
And right now, ironically, like I said at the beginning, we are the first person they call when they think of they're having an event, because they think, I need a video, I need a slide deck, I need graphics for a menu. It's at that point we go, wait a minute, who's organising your event? It's then the next year. I want them, before they even get to picking their event organisers, they come to us. Because what I always say to them is, the experience we give you when you're under pressure, when you're on a deadline, for anything, for content, for marketing realities, imagine that same experience for events. Imagine we could just take that pressure off, and we hear it. Everyone goes, the 29ers are amazing. You can just trust them. You don't have to doubt that they'll give you something on time or on a deadline, or the quality. Take that into the real world and take that into your brand showing up, and let us just wrap ourselves around you. Because, you know, one of actually an event that we do towards the end of the year, every year, we just do all the content. We actually don't do the on the ground support. And I've said to them a few times, I'm like, imagine how much we wrap around you. We do over like 40, 50 projects in a 2-month period for all their content. I'm like, imagine the next step. Imagine if we actually delivered the event for you. You know, it would be all connected. You wouldn't need to worry. So I
would just give them that end-to-end feeling, experience.
And it's something we pride ourselves on, is that the person you're working with, you know, you're not, if you come to us for an event, it's not, you know, I'll talk to you about it and then I'm passing to the next person and then the next person and the next person. The people on that call is the people that will be there on the day. It's the people you'll speak to every single week. So it's trying to just, you know, show our customers that we want to show up for you in meetings. We want to show up for you for content projects, but for your events, that's your one moment to show your brand at its best to your customers. So it's like, let the team that show up for you every year, every day, show up for you for those.
Well, that's the questions, Katelin. Thank you very much for coming and talking about 29 events. We've got a busy few weeks coming up, and
we do. We're in event season. We always feel there's you kind of in planning quite a lot, and then all of a sudden they all go back to back, and then you go into planning. But it's good because, you know, the adrenaline's like a push, and also you get to go to some really nice places.
So thank you.
Thank you. That was good.